SummerSlam 2026 is in the books. Over, done. Both nights all wrapped up from Minneapolis. Tonight was night number 2, and we had a night that was better than night 1. I enjoyed night 2 a lot better than I did night 1. Not without its imperfections, of course, but definitely a step up from what we got, which if you would have told me that coming into this weekend, I would have been like, what are you talking about? On paper, night 1 was much better than night 2. It's funny how it works out sometimes. We had Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in the main event. And we had 14 years of history behind this match. This match was really built around the Shield, the symbolism of the Shield, the chair to the back, all the history between these men going back to the very beginning. It's all culminating in this match because Roman Reigns could not beat Seth Rollins on the big stage. Whenever there was a championship on the line, whenever there was like a big match, he has not been able to beat this man. That was the story coming into this match. And I was of the belief up until maybe, I don't know, a week ago, 10 days ago, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, they should have closed the weekend because that just felt like the bigger match. Until we saw the back and forth on SmackDown and everything, and it became very clear to me last week, I said, you know what? This doesn't really feel as big as I feel like it should feel. Roman and Seth has been built up like a major main event. So I think they got it right as far as the positioning of the main events. And as it turned out, the match with Cody and Punk last night, while it did pick up towards the end, and I did end up thinking it turned into a good match, was not as good, not nearly as good as I was expecting it to be. It was actually quite boring for the first half. Tonight, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins went out there for even longer. That match last night was, I think, 29 minutes. They went out there for 33 minutes in the main event tonight because, you know, Roman is always going to get as much time as he needs. They gave him 33 minutes in the main event tonight. They went out there, and yes, there were a lot of, there was a lot of finisher spam, and one thing that they did a lot of, and this is actually a hallmark of some of Roman's matches, but it was very apparent watching this match here tonight, was the fact that Roman and Seth, they were using each other's moves. So it's not enough for Roman to use the spear, then Seth uses the spear, Roman uses the stomp. We had a lot of that sort of thing in this match. But I gotta say, Roman's really good. Roman is really good at doing a Roman Reigns match. There's a certain formula to it. And more often than not, like on a big stage like this, Mania, SummerSlam, it works. It worked at WrestleMania. He went out there with CM Punk. They had an excellent night 2 main event. And it worked with Rollins here on this show. Maybe it didn't for everybody, but it did for me. It certainly resonated more than anything I saw last night, including Brock and Oba, including Cody and Punk. They went out there, they had an all-timer in the SummerSlam main event. I say all-timer. I don't mean that it's going to rank, in my top 10 or anything like that. But in terms of just excellent SummerSlam main events, this one will be up there, certainly for SummerSlams over the last decade or so. And it puts to bed the whole Shield lore once and for all. I love the symbolism at the very end when they shared the fist bump and they had the old Shield half mask, the skull mask that they used to wear. I mean, they were putting on an example for people long before the pandemic, covering half their face. We had the skull mask laying on the floor in the ring with them. I saw it as kind of the symbolism of Dean Ambrose, who couldn't be there. He was there in spirit. So the mask sort of represented Ambrose, and there you had Rollins, there you had Reigns. And so finally we could put the Shield in the rear view. Is this going to be the last time these two ever step in the ring together one-on-one? Probably not. It kind of felt like the closing of that chapter, though. If we do circle back around to this at some point, it's probably going to be a very long time. And good, it should be a very long time. We don't need to see Roman and Seth anymore. They put a nice button on it in that main event tonight. Where Seth Rollins goes, I don't know. Where Roman Reigns goes next, I have a few ideas for where that may be. And we'll talk about that when we get towards the end here. But I thought an excellent main event. the other thing I was looking forward to, actually the thing I may have been looking forward to the most, frankly, on this night too. Chad Gable was in his hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've been waiting for Chad Gable as a fan of his work. I've been waiting for a very long time to see Chad Gable get what he deserves. And what I felt like this man was overdue for was to win a championship, which he had never done, singles championship. He had never done. Over a decade in this company, going back to his days in developmental as part of American Alpha. And you saw the work that he did in AAA. You saw the mask match he had with Kaiser a few months ago. And everything was just set up perfectly for tonight. They're in his hometown. He has this redemption arc. He's a babyface again. He's going around completing the 12 steps and apologizing to people for past indiscretions. They're trying to get this clap over that he's doing, the new music, all of it, right? Everything was set up perfectly for him to walk into his hometown tonight and finally have that big moment. They had one job, and they did what they needed to do. And Chad Gable, for the first time in his career, is finally the Intercontinental Champion. He did what Sheamus could never do. He won the IC title before Sheamus. Actually, Sheamus will never win the IC title now, but he won the Intercontinental Championship. It was a family affair. His wife, his kids, I think his parents, they were all there. Invited them into the ring when the match was over. He got some mic time. Like, this was everything that I had hoped it would be. Except for the fact that they only got about as much time as Oba and Brock did last night in the main event, which is to say, they didn't get a lot of time for their match. So I wish I could sit here and tell you that, oh man, you know, Gable and Penta, they went out there and they had like a match of the year contender. They had an all-timer at SummerSlam. They didn't. They didn't. And they didn't have enough time to. On a show where, you know, we have a lot of other things going on. We have long entrances and we have long commercial breaks. And so we can only fit in so much wrestling on this show. I'm not asking for an overabundance of it, but if there was one match on this show that I really wish could have gotten another 7 to 10 minutes, it was that one. That's really the only critique of that match that I have. Those two weren't able to go out there and put on the kind of match I know they can. But Chad Gable finally got his moment. Very cool to see. Chelsea Green, speaking of moments, we had this ladder match for the Interim Women's Championship. And as big of a moment as it turned out to be for her here tonight, I stand by what I've been saying, which is that the Interim Championship is completely unnecessary. You could have had a big ladder match on this show to crown a #1 contender or something. And if you wanted to give her that moment, you could have given her that moment. The way things worked out, though, they opted to go the interim title route. They chose 5 women for this match. And of all the 5 women in that match, they went with the one who I expected the least to walk out with the championship. But I was very happy to see her have her moment. And that is Chelsea Green. You will not find anybody in that company with a bad word to say about Chelsea Green. You will not find very many people whose opinion I would even care about who have really a bad thing to say about Chelsea Green. She's very entertaining. She's never been positioned at the top of the card or in the world title mix or anything like that. But she went babyface not that long ago, and the fans seem to enjoy her. They are entertained by her. And the fans in Minneapolis, and they had about 30, I don't know what they didn't announce the attendance on either night, which speaks volumes. I actually think they had more people in the building for night 1 than they did for night 2. But they had 35,000, whatever it was, in the building, and they all went crazy. When Chelsea Green pulled down the Interim Women's Championship, they panned out and they had that wide shot. And everybody is jumping up and down and going nuts. And I'm sure Matt Cardona was in the back going nuts, right? Nobody is happier, I'm sure, for her than he is. And it was just a great moment. And it was a great, crowd-pleasing finish to what was not a very good match. I told you guys coming in, there's no in-betweens on this. That ladder match is either going to turn out to exceed expectations and be really, really good, or it's going to be really, really bad. And it's going to be a mess. And for the most part, that's what it was. But we got the crowd-pleasing finish there. So another moment, right? The Gable moment. The Chelsea moment. We got more moments on this show than we did last night. Another moment we got, because we got no title changes at all last night. Tonight we had a few. One of them was Baron Corbin, who just came back to the company recently. This was his first match. His first match back. He was wrestling for the United States Championship. And he is the United States Champion. I know there's going to be a lot of people who scratch their head. Why would they do this? Why would they take the belt off of Trick? And of all people, put it on Baron Corbin. I don't mind the move. I actually, I didn't just predict it. I endorsed it. And, we'll get into the match and, what it can mean and all that. So that was another moment on this show. But then one of the bigger, if not the biggest moment on the show actually came in the opening contest. And it was the return of a former, I was going to say former WWE champion, but I guess he's never won the WWE title. Yet, it may happen. It actually may finally happen. Because Kevin Owens, we've been waiting so long for Kevin Owens to make his return. He's been out for almost a year and a half. And let me tell you, my God, if anybody has been missed on that SmackDown brand, it is Kevin Owens. I've certainly missed him. That show could certainly use him. And now he's back. And he looks great. Looks slimmer, right? Looks like he's dropped some weight. He was added as a last-minute addition to the #1 Contenders match. And Kevin Owens is going to be challenging CM Punk when we don't know. But he is next in line now to challenge CM Punk for the WWE Championship. I've been talking about this for a while. I said, man, if there's one match that I have been waiting to see since Punk came back to the company in 2023, it is CM Punk and Kevin Owens. Not only are we on the precipice of it here, but it will be for the WWE Championship. And no one is happier about that than I am. That put a smile on my face. That was a great way to open the show tonight. Another moment. The return of Kevin Owens. Last night it was the return of Randy Orton. Tonight it was the return of Kevin Owens, who we actually had wrestling. Orton didn't wrestle last night. Kevin Owens wrestled on this show. Unannounced, unscheduled, not promoted. Nice surprise there for the fans in the building. Nice surprise for the fans at home. So again, when I look back at this night too, there were just more of those moments that I can look at and say, okay, this made for a more enjoyable show than night one. And I thought the matches on the whole were better. I thought that you compare it to like last year. You know what it reminded me of actually last year? Now that I think about it, the night 2 main event at MetLife, John Cena and Cody Rhodes. They went out there and man, they had a bad match at WrestleMania. But they went out there at SummerSlam. It was like Cena had something to prove. That was actually like his last truly great match of his career was the one against Cody. They went out there and had a almost 40-minute main event that was fucking awesome. One of the matches all year. Roman and Seth was very similar to that. I don't think Roman and Seth is going to be, the match of the year at the end of the year or anything like that. But they went out there on night 2 and they had this 30-plus minute, epic encounter. That was clearly their goal going out there. So very similar to night 2 of SummerSlam last year. I would say that this tonight was a thumbs up show on the whole, which I think makes it overall a thumbs up SummerSlam because I said last night the show was not bad. It just wasn't all that good. It was very middle of the road. Last night I said 6 out of 10. I would say with tonight's show, SummerSlam overall, if I had to grade it, I think it bumps it up to a 7 out of 10. I can't go higher than that. But I think 7 out of 10 is fair. So in the end, SummerSlam, it was always going to come down to how much time do they give the talent to go out there and do what they need to do. I think that score would have been a bit higher had some of those matches been given more time to marinate. I'm not saying give them too much time because you can go overtime and then you kind of lose the crowd. But like that Gable and Penta match is a prime example of, man, if those guys just could have had another 5 or 6 or 7 minutes to really kind of whip that crowd into a frenzy, that would have made it so much better. So if there was one really noticeable critique, and there was more than one, but if there's one that really I keep coming back to for this weekend, you know, these matches, we've got some very short matches on these shows. I don't want to see all these matches going 20 minutes, but the ones that you would think should get 20 minutes or 15 minutes, they didn't get it. You know, they didn't get it. And they didn't get it for reasons that I don't think are acceptable. These long extended breaks, and obviously they have all the commercials and everything, and it's kind of the era that we're in. That never used to be a thing when it came to the pay-per-views. In the PLE era, it's no different than a television show, right? See, it's littered with commercials, and you got to find time for all that, and I understand it. We have the elaborate entrances, and that takes 10, 15 minutes, you know, per match. But you have 2 nights. And you would think by having 2 nights, it would allow them some breathing room to give some of these matches more time. And there were multiple instances on this, not just tonight, but really this weekend, where I felt like, man, this thing is just really getting good. And then it was over. That's how I felt with Brock and Oba last night. It was just about to kick into that next gear. And then it was over. And it's like, well, there could have been so much more there, but you left some meat on the bone. But on the whole, I have to give this weekend a thumbs up. This is your SummerSlam Night 2 review. It is August 2nd, 2026. I am the Solomonster. Thank you guys for the second straight night for hanging out with me. We had fun last night. Let's have some fun tonight. I already see some red bombs here. I'm going to get to those guys here first. And then I'm going to get to your Super Chats a little bit later on as we go along. Super Chats are open. For those who want to drop some support, if you have questions, comments, what did you think? How would you grade Night 2, Night 1? Let me know. So get them on in. Special donation amounts are in the description down below. And welcome to all of our new subscribers. We recently broke 93,000. So thank you to all of the new subs. And hit that like button. We are going to spin the wheel right now. And we're going to find out how many likes we need on this video to do our Be the Booker segment. If you've never been a part of it, it's a lot of fun. I feel like we had some fun with it last night. Some interesting matches that we booked. 400 likes. You know what? I just realized I shouldn't have even bothered spinning the wheel. I should have just assigned a big number. We're already at 415, so we have to spin this again because we've already hit the goal. That's not fair. We can't do that. If that happens again, I'm just gonna... Okay. All right. So we're gonna put the wheel away. You know, on like big nights like this, I shouldn't use the wheel. So here's what we're gonna do. I'll make the goal 750. We're gonna do that. 750 likes minimum. We hit that, we'll do Be the Booker. That's the goal. Hey, Eric Henry, welcome to the channel, and all of our other new subs. But we had, where is it? It just came in, no message, but King Nader is in with a $100 super chat bomb. And we actually had a couple, oh boy. Shut the fuck up. We had a couple of other bombs. I want to mention them, and then we'll get into it here.
Fuck that tree.
Fuck that tree. Jersey Authentic. That's right. Thank you, Jersey Authentic. But before I went live tonight, hey, Joshua, I want to say thank you to Josh. Josh dropped not one, but two $100 bombs. Hey, Solo, just wanted to get your thoughts on rather than Brock versus Oba in Hell in a Cell, should it have been Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins inside the cell with their history? I think that would have been a good blow-off match to their feud. Oba and Brock did not need the cell. No, they didn't, and I had to spend part of my day batting away, you know, a bunch of people who insisted that I was wrong in my opinion. Apparently I'm wrong. I don't get the lore. Don't you see what Brock was trying to do, Solomon? Yes, I do, and I don't give a shit. The match did not need the cell, so you're 100% right about that. The idea of Roman and Seth being in the cell, yeah, I mean, there's enough history there. And I'll tell you one thing I can guarantee you. If Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins went with the Hell in a Cell stipulation, they would have made that Hell in a Cell a hell of a lot more entertaining than Brock and Oba did in their match last night. So as Hell in a Cell matches go, we would have gotten a much better one this weekend. So I agree with you on that 100%. And then he also says, I'm Stone Cold E.T. and JS Warrior 19. I have sent super chats in the past. Just wanted to thank you and JD for your coverage of the product in its worst times. You watch it so I don't have to. When do you think the product peaked? Oh, after Cody finished his story. Yeah. After WrestleMania 40 and that big epic main event, that was the peak. That was the peak for sure. Right? They're still doing good business, but they're not doing the kind of business they were doing a year ago or, in the aftermath of that WrestleMania, it started to trend downward. So, but thank you, brother. I very much appreciate the love. Let's get into the review. I'm going to take you through everything that happened here in night 2. And again, I thank you, the nearly 2,000 that are already congregated here with us here this evening. As we, I probably should have set that likes goal a little bit higher. Anyway, night 2 opened with a number 1 contenders match for the WWE Championship. Now, it was supposed to be Sami Zayn one-on-one with Finn Balor. Before the match was about to begin, both men are in the ring. Out comes Nick Aldis. Once again, the general manager of SmackDown, because if you didn't see the post-show last night, Triple H, he handed him his letter of resignation. Not that Triple H, I probably got a bunch of you excited right there. Triple H did not hand in his letter of resignation. Nick Aldis handed in his letter of resignation as the SmackDown GM because he felt like by taking the match with Gunther, I don't know, I guess he felt like Triple H would feel he was derelict in his duties or couldn't be unbiased from now on. I don't know what the logic there was. But Triple H ripped it up and said, "You're reinstated. I'm not going to fire you. I'm not going to, or I'm not going to accept this resignation." So he's back to being the SmackDown GM, and he walks out on stage, and he announces that in the interest of fairness and doing what is best for business, there was an addition that he has made to the following contest. And out walked Gunther, the man who beat Aldis last night in night 1, which I thought was one of the more enjoyable matches, frankly, of night 1. Gunther walks out. He's playing double duty this weekend. He walks out. He's laughing at Aldis. He's mocking the black eye that Aldis was sporting. But he put his hand out for a handshake, and Aldis shook his hand, and down to the ring goes Gunther. And I'm thinking to myself, it's only fair if you think about it, because he did fuck this guy over at Madison Square Garden. He interfered in the tag match. He cost Gunther the chance to be a part of a world championship match at SummerSlam. So he's owed a rematch for the title, or a match, I should say, for the title. And so I'm like, all right, Aldis is making amends for the mistakes that he's made. It's only fair, right? You give Gunther the chance to become number 1 contender. But he wasn't done yet. He said, I never said I was done adding people here to this match. So this was a triple threat match for about 60 seconds. And he goes, there's one more name to be added. And we had the long dramatic pause. And then they play Kevin Owens music. And all 35,000 plus inside US Bank Stadium, they went crazy. And I had a big smile on my face because the reports were out there. And I think Meltzer was the one who really broke it in the Observer on Friday. Said that it appears to be, sources are telling him that both Randy Orton and Kevin Owens are very close to a return. That was the language he used, very close to a return. Well, we got Randy Orton on night 1, and we got Kevin Owens on night 2. So I would say that report was pretty bang on. He comes out. He's definitely slimmer than the last time we saw him, and the place is just showering him with love. And he's taking it all in. Sami Zayn is in the ring. He is floored by this. He's not even like expressing happiness or sadness or anger. He's just stunned. He had no idea that this was coming. So it's been almost a year and a half. He's been out with or following neck fusion surgery. I don't think it's quite 18 months. They said 18 months a few times. I'm pretty sure the last match he had would have been the Elimination Chamber, which I think was March 1st of last year. I don't think he actually had the surgery even until a year ago, like in July. But it's been too long. It's been far too long. So I was very happy. They showed a woman in the crowd crying, and it wasn't his wife or anything like that. Just some random female fan in the crowd. She was in tears as she was filming this with her phone. She was so excited. So Owens took out Balor and Gunther with cannonballs in the corner. And then he and Zayn came face to face for the first time. And the two of them embraced. And then they started firing shots at each other because they will indeed fight forever. So they're slugging it out in the middle of the ring. So when all three opponents ended up on the floor, Owens went to the top. He took them all out with a flip dive from the top. Back inside, Owens hit Gunther with a swanton. Owens went for a stunner. Gunther countered into a sleeper. And Sami and Balor, they broke that up. So then we got a nice exchange briefly between Gunther and Balor. I would not mind seeing that as a program coming out of this show. Gunther powerbombed Balor. He locked him in a Boston Crab. Owens broke that up. So then on the ropes, Balor tried for a superplex. Owens countered into a twisting fisherman superplex. Sami then dumped Owens out of the ring. He tried to steal the pin. It did not work. Later on, Sami went for the haluva kick to Owens, but Gunther intercepted him. He was outside, and he slid in just in time to interrupt. He applied the sleeper. Balor, though, came off the top with a double stomp. He covered Sami, who was either supposed to kick out, or I think Gunther was supposed to kind of throw an arm over and break things up. He did, but it was after the 3 count. So he did technically get the 3 count. The referee had to hold up the count, so, we'll pretend that it wasn't 3. Owens hit a stunner on Gunther. He tried for one on Sami, who countered into a blue thunder bomb. He tried for another haluva kick. Owens, though, cut him off with a super kick and then dropped him with a stunner, and he got the pin to become the #1 contender to the WWE title. Excellent sprint here for an opener. And welcome back, Kevin Owens. So not only do we get him back on SmackDown, but they are not wasting any time in giving us the Kevin Owens CM Punk match that I've been waiting to see for a very long time. We're going right to Double Jeopardy here. The game just started. We're already in the final round. And I don't know if they're going to do it on TV in the next few weeks. I don't know if this is something they might want to save. They don't have another PLE this month. And the next big event, quote unquote, big event, would be Sunday night's main event, which is not for another month. It's not until the Sunday before Labor Day. So I don't know exactly what the day. I assume it's not going to be this Friday. I hope not. Although I tell you what, boy, would that be in line, right? Because if they did a WWE title match on SmackDown this Friday, that would be the 3rd time this year I would be missing one for a House of Glory show. Maybe I should be expecting it to take place on Friday. They would do that. Hopefully they delay it to the following Friday if they're going to do it on TV. Sami Zayn, look, it feeds into this new gimmick, right? Justice for Sami. Sami once again gets screwed. This was supposed to be a singles match. He was already pissed that he even had to do this match in the first place. And then at the very last minute, he's already in the ring. And all this adds 2 more people to the match. I mean, everything Sami says is right. He has been screwed over time and time again. I stand with Sami. So, I mean, his crusade will continue. His crusade for justice. I don't know if, it'll be interesting to see the interaction between him and Owens come SmackDown on Friday. My only critique, and this is, again, my overall critique of a lot of different matches this weekend, but especially this match here. They went 8 minutes. I could have used another 10 from these guys. Give me another 8 to 10 minutes from these 4. Look at the 4 guys you had in this match. You had Gunther, you had Balor, you had Owens, you had Zayn. You give them 8 minutes. This went far too short. I was wanting more from these guys. And that's really the only critique I have. Otherwise, I thought this was an excellent opener.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know.
This was from earlier.
I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A Rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
There he is. King Nader. King Nader dropping a bomb. No message. Just wanted to show some love. Hey, who's that commissioner guy being pushed around here? I don't like that. I think that guy should stand up for himself. What do you think? There you go. See, there you go. You got to stand up for yourself. Sometimes you just have to fight back. When life wants to fight you, you got to say, fuck you, and fight back. I like that guy. So the next match, we had Trick Williams defending the United States Championship against Baron Corbin in Baron Corbin's first match in a WWE ring since, when was he released? 2024, right? He's been gone for a couple of years, I think. You know who else was back? He's been missing for the last few weeks. Lil Yachty. He was back. He got his own entrance, too. Came out on stage. And it was very brief. He came out to introduce Trick Williams. So early on here, Trick pulled out a Slim Jim table. I'm talking like the first minute or two of the match. He went to the floor and he pulls out a Slim Jim table. And I was confused because, first of all, the match just started. And second of all, it is not a no disqualification match. So I wasn't quite sure why we were already getting tables in this match, but it was to set up a very dumb spot at the finish with Lil Yachty. But because Trick was fotzing around outside with the table, he ended up getting caught by Corbin with a deep six on the floor. So Corbin got in Yachty's face outside. He shoved him down. Yachty grabbed his trusty kendo stick, and Corbin retreated back into the ring where Trick was waiting for him. So we got a leaping neck breaker and a bookend for a 2 count. Yachty then hit Corbin with a kendo stick from the floor as he was running the ropes, and the referee didn't see it. A little bit later on, Corbin grabbed the U.S. title, and Yachty confronted him, and Trick nailed him. Or Trick nailed Corbin, that is, not Yachty. But in doing so, because Corbin was out on the apron, and Yachty was on the apron, Trick nails Corbin, Corbin nails Yachty. Yachty goes flying off the apron through a table, the Slim Jim table that I mentioned from earlier. And I say he went through the table, kind of. So when he collided with the table on the way down, the table did technically break, but he didn't really go through it so much as he bounced and rolled off of it. You know what it actually reminded me of? And it wasn't nearly as bad. It reminded me of Stokely Hathaway and the spot from the FTR match with the Bang Bang Gang at World's End last year, where Stokely got bumped off the apron and he literally bumped off of the table. There was a table on the floor. I don't think the table broke at all. He literally bounced and slid off of it. He took this horrible bump to the floor. This wasn't quite that bad, but watching Yachty kind of bounce off the table, it reminded me very much. The first thing I thought of was Stokely. So Trick, he looks shocked. Yeah, he's looking down at Yachty. He's very like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And off that distraction, Corbin grabs the U.S. title and he blasts Trick in the head with it. The referee was focused on Yachty, so he didn't see it. Corbin followed up with the End of Days, and I knew right then and there the match was over because the End of Days is the most protected move in all of wrestling. I've only ever seen somebody kick out of it once, and that was Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. That's it. The most protected finish in wrestling. We don't have too many of those these days. Unfortunately, we are in an era of wrestling in all companies where everybody kicks out of everything. So there's no finishing move that's really protected or valued anymore to where when somebody hits it, it truly is a finish. There really aren't any finishing moves anymore in wrestling. I think we should stop calling them finishing moves because more often than not, they don't finish anybody. You know, when it takes Cody Rhodes 3 times to hit a crossroads and be able to pin somebody, can you really call the crossroads his finishing move? It's a move. It's one of his signature moves, but can we really call it a finishing move? I don't think so. The End of Days, though, that's a finishing move. And so he wins the United States Championship. Second straight match of less than 10 minutes here on this show. I thought the match was decent. Yeah, it was decent at best. Honestly, I felt the same way about Trick's match with Sami at WrestleMania. It was okay. but it really wasn't anything special. I'm still waiting for Trick Williams to have that one match on the main roster that really grabs my attention. And I can look at it and go, wow. Okay, that's the best match I've seen him have so far here on the main roster. He hasn't had it yet. And I don't know who it's going to be against. I don't know how much longer we have to wait to see it. I wouldn't say Trick is terrible, but he's clearly not as advanced in the ring as a lot of the other people that we have seen, gotten called up over the last couple of years. So again, it was decent at best, but it was Corbin's first match back. And so why would you beat him? Why even put him in this position if you're just going to have him go in there and lose? So I felt like him winning. That's why I said coming into the show, Corbin will win the U.S. title because it just made sense to me. Now you could say, well, that's, why would you end Trick's reign? Why would you have him lose to Baron Corbin of all people? Well, because Corbin's the one they've chosen to go with as the heel for him to chase. And I think Trick in chase mode works. I think now that Corbin has the championship, you have Trick and you have Carmelo Hayes in chase mode. And yes, I'm throwing Carmelo Hayes in there because he needs to be a part of this. He wasn't on the card tonight, which was ridiculous. Hopefully that just means they're saving him to kind of reinsert him into things now starting on Friday, coming out of this show. Only now the title is on, the heel, and he's going to have to fight Trick for that spot. And maybe at the next PLE, we end up getting a triple threat with all three involved. Even Corbin himself on social media was agreeing with fans and saying, hey, he should be a part of this match. Carmelo Hayes should be a part of this match. But he wasn't. So now they can chase for it. But here's the better reason that I'm very happy that Baron Corbin won that championship tonight. Because now he can shave that shit off the belt. He looked completely ridiculous when he won this title. And he was holding it up. And it's got all the fur, like, off the sides of it. And if Trick is holding it, it fits the gimmick. But for Baron Corbin to be standing there with that belt, it looked preposterous. So I hope the first thing we see him do on Friday is he shows up on SmackDown and he gives that belt a haircut. That's the first order of business. Come SmackDown. No more furry belt. Okay, no more Furbies on the show. Then we had the 5-way ladder match to crown an interim women's champion because Rhea Ripley is hurt and they're too afraid to take the title off of her. She is uber protected here. We don't want to take the championship away from her. She could be back any week. So instead, we're going to create this fake belt, which, again, we already have the one fake belt, but this is even more fake. We're going to create another fake belt here and have a pretend champion until the real champion is able to come back. And we had qualifying matches on TV, and so we ended up with Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, Minnesota's own Tiffany Stratton, and we had Chelsea Green, and we had Lash Legend, who beat Julia in 2 minutes flat on SmackDown this past Friday. I wonder how the cookies and cakes were in catering backstage. I'm sure Julia was back there tonight. Perhaps she can maybe start a food blog. Maybe she could start like a food vlog on her IG stories or TikTok or something, and she could take us through all of the different catering options they have in the back. I would watch that. Hey, Jeff Roberts, I just subscribed. I think Jeff would watch that too. Jeff, would you watch Julia, since she's not doing much in the way of wrestling on the actual television show, if they had Julia do a food vlog? I would watch that. May as well. She's not really doing anything else. So anyway, that's how Lash Legend qualified here. Now, Tiffany came... Oh, boy. Wait. Hold on here.
Shut the fuck up.
Hold on.
Fuck that tree.
Steven says, Lash losing makes Julia's loss even worse. I don't disagree. Hey, Scumdog, 420 with 5 gifted channel memberships. Look at this SOB. Oh, wait, hold on a second. We got Curtis Axel and the nipple confetti. It's one of my favorite super chats. I wish I could do that. Hey, brother, thank you for the 5 memberships. Yes, memberships are open. You can gift them. You can buy one for yourself. You get some perks. Go check it out. It's pretty cool. Not much of a reaction for Tiffany Stratton coming out. I don't know if it was maybe it came across better in the building, but I was expecting something, given that she's a Minnesota girl, wasn't as loud as I thought it would be. Jade Cargill came out. They said she was wearing an outfit that was inspired by Prince. A lot of purple in the outfit. I mean, that's not what I was really looking at in the outfit, but she was wearing purple in her outfit. And they said that Charlotte's gear was a tribute to Scarlett, who was the little girl with brain cancer that she grew very close with, who sadly passed away recently. Apparently her family was in attendance, so I thought that was very cool. Now, I said earlier, coming into this is going to be really good and exceed my expectations, or this is going to be a mess. There's no in between. This was largely a mess. It was pretty much in line with what I expected it to be. And they said like Jade for the first time in a ladder match. Jade had never been in one before. I don't know if this was Lash's first ladder match. It may not have been. Maybe it was. No, you know what? I think it was Lash was in War Games for the first time last year. So maybe that's what it was. But anyway, so yeah, this was a mess. Tiffany Stratton, she had some of the biggest bumps in this match. There was one spot that they did where she was on the ropes with Lash, and she went to go give her a Rana off the ropes. Now, there was a ladder that had been set below, like a ladder bridge, but it was like a ladder that they laid flat in between the ropes, right below them, like a little platform. And so instead of Lash going over for the Rana, she held on to Tiffany and she just powerbombed her straight down hard onto the ladder. And Tiffany took this hellacious bump. She bounced off the ladder. She landed on the mat, rolled out of the ring, and she was screaming in agony. Charlotte climbed the ladder. This was a few minutes later. This was the other, I guess, big spot, if you want to call it that, one of them. She's climbing. And she grabs the belt. She's got her hands on the belt, but she's got to slow herself down, right? Because the spot was that Jade and Lash were going to each grab one of her legs. They're going to pull the ladder away, which they did. Charlotte is now dangling in the air. Jade is going to grab one of her legs. Lash is going to grab the other. And I think it was the leg that Lash grabbed. Charlotte has the brace on her knee. So I'm looking at that brace and I'm like, oh God, like, if they pull her down, I hope the plan is not for her to just come straight down on her legs, because she's got that fucking brace on. She's had the knee problems before. The spot was that they were going to yank her down and they would catch her. That was the idea. I will say this could have ended a lot worse. They didn't really catch her, cleanly. She still kind of landed on her feet a little bit. They kind of caught her. At least they avoided catastrophe, because, like I said, this could have ended very badly. But they catch her, and so Jade has her, and Jade basically sort of swings her into Lash. And Charlotte ended up getting slammed on another ladder that was leaned up in the corner, and then she rolled out of the ring. Stratton climbed the ladder. She was reaching up for the championship. She was right there. Chelsea Green rolls into the ring. And Tiffany looks down at Chelsea, and Chelsea looks up at her, right? They've become friends in recent months. And Chelsea tips the ladder over. And when she tips the ladder over, Stratton flies down onto the other 3 women who were all congregated outside below. Basically did a cannonball, and everyone in the pile is down. So now the crowd is loudly behind Chelsea Green, because they realize, oh shit, everyone's down. This is her chance. This is her moment. Chelsea could do this. Holy shit. And Chelsea begins to climb, and you hear the boos, because here come the baddies. B-Fab and Michin come down to the ring. Nobody wanted to see B-Fab or Michin in this match. So they come down and they stop Chelsea from climbing, and Chelsea gets caught in between the rungs of the ladder. And they hang her upside down, basically like at a tree of woe, but in the ladder. And they start, putting the boots to her, working her over while she's hanging upside down. So they help Jade back into the ring. They try to help Jade climb this ladder. Charlotte gets back into the ring. She takes out B-Fab. She takes out Michin. Charlotte eventually joins Jade on the ladder, right? They're on opposite sides. Now here comes Tiffany and here comes Lash. So they join them. They end up getting knocked off. And then Flair and Jade, they took this kind of awkward bump. I don't know what they were trying to do, but they went flying off the ladder at the same time down below. It was just a very weird bump. I don't know how else to really describe it. It was just a weird bump and a weird landing. Chelsea is still now the only one in the ring, but she's still hanging upside down in between the rungs of the ladder. And everyone's cheering for her and they're chanting her name. And all of a sudden, Chelsea, she sits up. And everyone's going crazy and she starts climbing the ladder. There's nobody else around. Chelsea reaches up and she pulls down the championship. And again, they got that wide shot and everybody is jumping up and down and going crazy. It reminded me of, I just watched this not that long ago. They actually have had some SummerSlam marathons that they have been running on their Vault channel on YouTube. So it was probably on there. I saw the Rock Triple H ladder match from Madison Square Garden, which was a much better match, by the way. But the finish was very similar in that you have this baby face and the fans are cheering for him and he's reaching up and he grabs the belt. And as soon as he pulls the belt down, you just see everybody in the background just go nuts, right? And they start jumping up and down. They had more people in the building here than they did in Madison Square Garden that night, but that was a much better match than this one. But it was just a great moment. And Chelsea is sitting on top of the ladder and she's got the title. And again, I wish I could tell you that the match itself was better, but it really wasn't. It really wasn't. It was not a great match. I was happy for Chelsea to see her get that moment. Now, of course, it's only an interim title. So I'm not even sure that it will officially count. I mean, did they address that on commentary? Maybe they did and I missed it. But do we know if they're actually going to ignore, like when she inevitably faces Rhea Ripley and loses, will Chelsea Green go down in the record books as a former WWE Women's Champion? I don't know. She shouldn't. That's not usually how this interim stuff is supposed to work. But see, now you're kind of muddying things up a little bit. So I don't know. They'll have to clarify that. I mean, look, you and I both know inevitably how this ends. The only way this doesn't end in Chelsea Green losing to Rhea Ripley when Ripley comes back is if the fans really take to Chelsea in a way that they've never taken to her before. And they start to rally behind her, which is going to be tough just because like the fans love Rhea. Rhea's still super, super popular. So I don't think they're going to turn on Rhea per se. But they would have to really, really like Chelsea enough to where when she shows up on TV this week, the people are just chanting her name nonstop. And they pop for her and they're loud for her and they won't even let her speak when she tries to cut a promo because they should be giving her promo time. And it's going to have to be that way every single week, everywhere they go. There has to be this like groundswell of support for this woman. And then maybe that opens their eyes to like, hey, wait a minute here. We got something here. You see this, Michael? Hey, Michael, take a look at this. Look at Chelsea. And there's just this groundswell of support. And maybe they say, maybe we'll keep the belt on her a little bit longer. Maybe we'll have her beat Rhea, win the actual title, and then we'll circle back to Rhea at some point. Very unlikely. Very unlikely, because I think they have their eyes on Crown Jewel in a few months. You know, I don't think we have an official date for it yet, but they have their Crown Jewel championships. They do it every year. So we're likely going to get it October, November, sometime around then. And it's champion against champion. And I just don't think that they want Chelsea Green to be their WWE Women's Champion against Liv Morgan or whoever the champion is going to be at that time. They're going to want Rhea Ripley in that spot. And if she's healthy and she's able to work, I mean, it's not going to be anybody else. But that's the only way. You want to get their attention. Hey, Triple H said it last night. In the post-show scrum, he went off, well, get yourself over, right? We got to listen to the crowd. Get yourself over. Okay, great. Let's see what happens. Because if the crowds really start chanting Chelsea, Chelsea, and they're like up for her when she's out there, won't even let her speak. You would think that in the back, they're going to hear that. And then we'll see. We'll see. If they practice what they preach, we'll find out. But it just seems very unlikely to me. So if you're a Chelsea Green fan, my recommendation to you would be enjoy this while it lasts, because this may be as good as it gets. Very unlikely that this is going to last for too much longer. I want to say welcome. Oh, boy. I was just going to welcome everybody who's here. Hey, King Solomon, I see you, brother. Thank you for the love.
Fuck that tree.
That was a wonky super chat there. Hey, Deathside, thank you. Welcome to the 2300 that we have in here with us. Not the 2300 arena in Philadelphia, the 2300 in this live chat. What did I say the goal was? 750? We already beat it. Man, I should have raised it. I'm going to raise it to 900. How about that? I'm like Nick Aldis, adding people to matches.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Now, there's a blast from the past. Bet you haven't heard that jingle in a while. Impractically Christopher with a $30 Mentos, the fresh maker super chat. It's my favorite. Oh, this is interesting. It says, hey, Solo, watch SummerSlam in the Dome at, now, is it Cosm? It's Cosm, right? It's not Cosme. It's Cosm. In the Dome at Cosm, a cool experience. Everyone loved Rollins and Reigns, including me, but I feel it went a few minutes too long at the end. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I really enjoyed the match also. Yeah, every time they show Cosm on that big screen and they have like special cameras for it where it like brings you into the ring, it looks really cool. They don't have that in New York, though. They have one, they said, in Atlanta. They have one, I think, in Dallas. Maybe Vegas. I don't know where else they have those. They had one in New York. I mean, maybe I would, I probably wouldn't. I have to be here, but I would love to check that out one day, but I just don't have any of those around here, so. But thank you, brother. I appreciate the love. Just like Solo, to be moving the goalposts. I'm telling you, that's the new goal. We just hit 800. 900. Did I say 900? I meant 1,000. 1,000 likes is the goal. 1,000 likes is easily attainable. Come on. You'll notice I'm doing everything in my power to avoid talking about this next match. How's the weather, by the way? Yeah, the weather's been awfully hot here in New York. Even now, you know, I turned the AC off before. It's like 78 degrees outside still. Yeah, it's a little humid, you know, but all right, I guess I have to get to this match. We had Danhausen against Dominik Mysterio in a human monies on a pole match. Yes. Think of all the names that were left off the SummerSlam card this year. Sitting in the back, watching Danhausen and Dominik Mysterio with a human money bag on a pole. Can only imagine what must have been going through their heads. They had a pole in the corner, and it actually was not terribly high. I feel like Dom probably could have just reached, he could have just stood on the ground in the corner and reached up and probably grabbed the bag. But the white bag had a dollar sign on it, just so we knew that there was money in there. And that was hanging in the corner with the $100,000 that Danhausen allegedly stole from the Judgment Day. Many weeks ago. This story's been going on for quite some time. So Danhausen made his entrance in his little Danhausen mobile, and then he made his way down to the ring. Danhausen, he was able to avoid a 619 early in this match, and he dropped Dom with a suplex. Dom came back, though, with the Three Amigos. You know, when he was doing the Three Amigos, it really hit me. They're in Minneapolis. That's where Eddie died. He died in a hotel room in Minneapolis. So anyway, Danhausen started to climb. JD McDonough runs out. We are 2 minutes into this match. And already we are getting the run-ins. And I'm okay with that because that tells me that this match is not going to be going for much longer, which would be great news. So McDonough runs into the ring to cut him off. And then all of the mini-Housens show up. So they climb into the ring and they attack JD and he's fighting them off. And then we had another one, and this one they referred to as Torito-Hausen. Now, El Torito is awesome. Like, as a wrestler, he's great. And so he was doing some spots in there with McDonough. McDonough was selling for him. There was like a spike DDT spot where he sold it like death. So he's actually quite great, Torito. We don't get to see him as much anymore. But there was a spot here where he sent McDonough out of the ring with a Rana. And then Torito-Hausen, he hits the ropes. He comes off. He does a tope out of the ring, a low tope, obviously. And he does the tope out of the ring. And he goes face first into the barricade. Now, he hit the move, but just the momentum sent him face first, careening into the barricade. Almost knocked himself out. If he would have done, I would have pissed myself laughing. So Danhausen tried to go for the money again. McDonough stopped him. Then we hear, say his name, and he appears. Joe Hendry. Was this his SummerSlam debut? I believe it was. So Joe Hendry comes out. He's got a guitar with him. McDonough meets him in the aisleway, or the ramp, whatever it was. And he breaks the guitar across McDonough's back, which was very dangerous to do over there because when the guitar shattered, pieces of it flew into the crowd. Hopefully they didn't blind anybody. Splintered off into the audience. So Danhausen and Mysterio, they're trying to climb in the corner of the ring where the pole is, and he crotches Danhausen. So Danhausen is sitting right on the top rope, and now Dom's got a clear path. All he's got to do is reach up, and he's got to grab the sack. Danhausen is looking at him, and he goes, "You are cursed." And then Pyro shoots up from the ring post, blinding Dom, who falls down to the mat. And then Danhausen reaches up and he grabs the human monies to win the match. And when the match was over, Danhausen went around ringside with the mini-Hausens and Joe Hendry, and they threw the money out to the crowd. And it wasn't real money. It was Danhausen dollars or whatever he calls it. And that's how things ended. And the best thing I can say about this is they kept it short. But then again, they kept most of the matches on this show short. This was not exclusive to this match. But I don't think I would have been able to accept them having given this match 10 minutes or more if it would have gone that long. Can you imagine if they would have given this match longer than Gable and Penta? Like that would have been unacceptable. As it was, this match went about 6 minutes. So at least they kept it short. 6 or 7 minutes, maybe it was 7. Look, we knew what this was going to be. We knew what this was going to be. This was going to be the silly match of the night. And we were going to get JD McDonough. And we were going to probably get Joe Hendry after that stupid segment they did on Monday where we're going to get the mini-Hausens. Maybe there'd be some surprise person popping up. I guess they completely abandoned the whole thing of who's under the sheet in the laboratory. I guess that's out the window. But this was exactly what, you had to expect that it would be. McDonough tried to make this as entertaining as he could. Torito's great. But, other than that, what's to say? What's left to say about this? The fact that this feud is even still going. Like, he took the bag of money. Are we supposed to believe that that's it? The story's over? Until I see evidence of this, I'm going to assume that the feud is going to continue. Because this should have been over at Saturday night's main event. Instead, they dragged it all the way to SummerSlam. I hope it's over. I don't know that it is. If it is over, who does Danhausen feud with next? Because that they're not going to want to take him off TV. Who gets the feud with Danhausen now? Is Dominik buried? Says Tomas. I don't want to use that word with, I will use that word with Julia. I will not use that word yet with Dom, but I will say, you know, a year ago, where Dom was compared to where he is now is quite the fall from grace. And you can say that about a lot of people. You can say that about Fatu. You can say that about Braun Breaker. Look at what they had Dom doing on this show. And he's the AAA Mega Champion, by the way, who just lost to Danhausen. Good luck with Triple Mania. I have nothing else to say about this. They showed some legends in the front row, or whatever. They were in the crowd, so maybe there wasn't the front row, but they were in the crowd. They showed the Killer Bees. They had their masks on, and then when they introduced them, they pulled the masks up. So Brian Blair, Jumping Jim Brunzell. A lot of history in the Twin Cities from those two, as well as Greg Gagne, who was there, and Molly Holly, who works for them as a producer behind the scenes. She had her Hall of Fame ring on. And the model, Rick Martel, was there. He didn't have the arrogance bottle with him, but he was pantomiming like he had arrogance. Looking good. Looking good. Always good to see the model. The model should be in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully they will be able to make that work one of these years. I doubt next year because they're going to be in Saudi. Unless they do the Hall of Fame here in the States before they fly to Saudi, which they probably should do. But it was good to see him. Can we get more of this, please? Let's get more legends and fewer of these D-list celebrities that they show. Let's see some more legends. You know, last night they had Sean Waltman. They showed him. They showed Jimmy Hart, Dan Spivey, Mark Henry. Let's get more of the legends. Then it was time for the Intercontinental Championship.
Look at Richie Rich over here
But
dropping
first,
all this money on
but
me.
first.
Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock, you rock.
Oh my goodness.
And I just wanted you to know that.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
You know, I always have it here, right here. Always, you got to always keep some right here. You got to keep some Mentos. You never know when you may need. You know, I was popping some of these during the Danhausen match. Put a smile right on my face. Hey, Mentos, you need someone to sponsor you or be in maybe a new ad campaign or something? Call me. Penta and Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. I was a little worried when I saw that this match was being slotted as in the penultimate slot here on this show right before the main event. I was a little worried that they were not going to give it adequate time. And as it turned out, I was right. They did not get the time that they deserved. Unfortunately, I was hoping that this would go a little bit longer than it did. But what we did get, I thought was very good. Now, Gable's wife and kids, they showed them in the front row, as were other family members we were told who were there. Actually, maybe the people that were in the ring after weren't his parents. Maybe it was his in-laws. I don't know. But Penta tried for an early Penta driver, and Gable was able to escape. Gable was able. Hey, that could be his catchphrase. Gable is able. He escaped. He delivered some rolling German suplexes. He went for a moonsault. Penta, though, super kicked him in the face right out of midair. One of the stories of this match early on was that Gable had hurt his shoulder, and so he was selling the shoulder for pretty much the rest of the match here. Gable went for another ankle lock after trying one earlier. Penta, though, kicked him to the ground, and Penta followed that with a tope out to the floor. And he had an awkward landing when he almost looked like he nearly landed on top of his own head, but he was okay. So back inside, Penta hit the Penta driver, only for a near fall. So then he caught Gable with a super kick, but then he charged right into an overhead belly-to-belly suplex into the corner. Gable dove off the top rope, and Penta, they did a spot here where he just snatched him out of midair right into the sacrifice arm breaker, which is just another spot. I almost wish he just wouldn't do it anymore. You know, I know it can never be like it was in Lucha Underground where he was like breaking people's arms every time he would do it. They're never going to do that. They've already killed the spot. It's just another spot in the match now. You know, I mean, he snaps the arm and everyone's like, oh my God, they snapped the arm. And then, 15 seconds later, he's muscling somebody up for a suplex like nothing even happened. So it's like, what's the point of even doing it? But whatever, he snaps the arm here. I noticed Gable came up bleeding from the forehead. Not a lot, but it was noticeable. Penta tried for a Mexican destroyer. Gable, though, countered out into an ankle lock that Penta was able to work out of. And then he tried for a Mexican destroyer on the apron. Gable countered that, though, with a German suplex on the apron instead. So Gable came off the top with a moonsault to the floor onto Penta. Back inside, he came off the top with a diving headbutt. And he came up selling the injured shoulder in the process. There was a spot where Penta came off the middle rope with a Mexican destroyer to Gable on the apron. And Gable was he was dead. He was dead. But not dead enough, apparently. Penta tried for another destroyer, this time inside the ring. And Gable was able to get an ankle lock applied. Penta, he grabbed at the bottom rope. He touched it. He made contact with it. But Gable just dragged him to the center of the ring. And he grapevined the leg. And Penta instantly tapped. Like, no delay or anything. You know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of Gunther at WrestleMania last year with Jey Uso, where Jey Uso got him in the sleeper, and then he just didn't try to, like, sell it or anything like that. Like, he just immediately tapped out. And that's what Penta did here. He tapped out. It would have been nice, to build some drama maybe before the tap out, but look, beggars can't be choosers here. I said coming in, they have one job. Don't fuck this up. I mean, this is the easiest layup of the weekend, right? This can't possibly go any other way. And they did the right thing. And Gable picks up the win. And he is the brand new Intercontinental champion. After the match was over, Penta, he strapped the belt around Gable's waist. Again, Gable's either it was his parents or his in-laws. They came into the ring along with Gable's wife and his son and his daughter. Gable introduced himself to the crowd. My name is Chad Gable, born and raised and still residing in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Everybody cheered. They shot off pyro for him, as they did earlier, forgot to mention, for Chelsea Green. And this was a great moment. And then they followed up this heartfelt family moment. It was so beautiful. I mean, really, like, it's an emotional moment. And Gable is still in the ring. His family is still in the ring. And then I see a fucking mascot on the apron. It's this thing. I don't know. Is it a bear? I don't remember offhand. What is it? It's a fucking bear. Whatever it is. The giant head. It's a mascot. It's the Mug Root Beer mascot. Because they're going to work in a sponsorship plug in the middle of this heartfelt family celebration. Yes, they used the Chad Gable celebration to plug more shit on this show. And so, was it a bear? Bulldog. Oh, it's a bulldog. Why did I say bear? It's a dog. Okay. I don't drink fucking Mug Root Beer, so I don't know. It's a bulldog. Fine. It's fine. So the bulldog gets on the apron, not the British one. And he hands Gable 2 cans of Mug Root Beer. I guess it's in the contract that he has to drink it. And so he basically, like stone cold, he slams them together and he downs them, and they got their plug in there. And then they promoted it, on commentary. So that was just fucking lame. I see this thing get on the apron. I think they're shooting an angle here where this person is going to attack Gable. I thought he was going to pull the head off. It's going to be like Big Cass or something because, he's returning on Raw this Monday. But no, it's just, no, we're going to work a plug in here. It's like, okay, well. Up until that point, though, it was a nice moment until it was commercialized like every other fucking thing on this show. Up until that, it was a nice moment. They gave them 11 minutes. 11 minutes. 11 minutes is what Brock Lesnar and Obafemi had for their main event last night. And 11 minutes was not nearly enough for these two to be able to go out there and do what I know they could do. Again, I could have watched them for another 5, 6, 8 minutes, and it would have made the match so much better. But again, they have too many ads to where, you can't fit in any more wrestling on these shows. There's not enough time for wrestling on these shows. I'm not asking for a lot more. I actually disagree with people who were upset, and there are people on social media who were upset that like this show was basically like more or less it was like 3 minutes long, or 3 hours. I'm sorry. I mean, it kind of felt like the show maybe was three minutes long. No, the show was 3 hours long, more or less. I'm okay with that. I don't need these shows to go overly long, but 3 hours is definitely on the shorter side. But they also divide it up into 2 nights. So if you do 3 hours on one night, you do 3 hours on another, that's 6 hours total. Like, that's not unreasonable. I'm okay with that. But some of these matches, there's no reason you can't give them a few extra. Why do all of these undercard matches have to be so short? I understand the main event went very long, but so what? That's one match. You had this guy in his hometown against Penta, 2 baby faces. People love Penta. They would have loved to have seen these guys get some more time to do their thing and really just take that time to tell that story. And that would really be my only criticism of the match. It went 11 minutes. It's terrible. But what we got was good. To be able to do that with his family present for it in his hometown, and coming off the match he had with Kaiser in Mexico, and the whole, again, it's a redemption arc for him. It was a beautiful payoff. Long may he reign. I want to see him take on all comers. I want to see him have a very fruitful, long run as the champion until they find the right heel to come along and take it away from him, and then they can feud over it. Long may he reign. Enough! That's what I said when I saw the time that they gave this match. I said, enough. This is ridiculous. They will do matches on television. They will do matches on Raw and SmackDown occasionally that are longer than what they gave Gable and Penta at SummerSlam. I mean, come on. But it was all because the main event, they needed their time. And that is what we had next. It was the main event of this show. It was Roman Reigns defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Seth Rollins. Now, for Rollins' entrance, they played the Shield intro. Sierra, Hotel. You know the rest. But they didn't play the Shield music. They just played that little intro. And they got people's ears all perked up. But then it just went right into the usual burn it down intro. And Seth Rollins came out. He entered. He was wearing the old Shield half skull mask. I mentioned this earlier. And he was wearing an outfit. He had dialed it back in recent months since he came back. He was dressing more normally. And here he comes out and he was wearing something that looked like it would have been more appropriate to wear for like when WrestleMania goes back to New Orleans. He looked like a fucking court jester. Now, I know Michael Cole on commentary had this whole explanation that Seth, I'm sure, gave him about what this color means and what that color represents. And I'm like, dude, you look like a fucking court jester. The only thing missing were the clown shoes. So it was a very colorful outfit that only Seth Rollins would be wearing. Roman got his usual long entrance. After about 15 minutes of entrances, the bell sounded. I marked it down, 8:31 p.m. 8:31 p.m. The show started at 6. 8:31, and the main event was already underway. Is this SummerSlam or is this in your house? I don't know. But again, 3 hours and change, like 3:15, I'll take it. I don't need no 5-hour show. So they brawled into the crowd. I would say about, 6 minutes or so maybe into this match. They brawled into the crowd. Rollins hit him with a stanchion right in the gut. When Rollins tried to suplex him, though, Roman reversed it and slammed him down onto the diamond plate that was on the ground. So they fought back to ringside. Rollins caught him with a knee right to the side of the face. He dove off the timekeeper's barricade. When Roman got back to his feet, Rollins, he came charging in. He was going to spear him through the barricade, only Roman caught him briefly in a guillotine. And then he quickly transitioned to a powerbomb position, and he powerbombed Rollins through the Spanish announce desk. And Roman, this is one of the funnier moments from the match. Roman looked over. There were a bunch, I guess, of Minnesota Vikings sitting in the front row behind the announcers. And Roman's like smiling and he's laughing and he's looking at them. And he said, he's laughing. He goes, Rollins played high school football. This guy played high school football. So then he cleared off the English announce desk. Rollins, though, ended up getting him up for a power bomb, and he puts Roman through that desk. So now both desks have been obliterated. Roman barely beats it back in before the count of 10. As soon as he gets back into the ring, Rollins grabs him. He gives him a pedigree. He goes for a pin. Roman kicks out. So Rollins went for a stomp. Instead, though, he ran right into a Superman punch. There was a cover. Rollins got the shoulder up at 2. So Roman, he tried for a spear. We got a leapfrog by Rollins. Roman ends up eating the middle turnbuckle. And Seth comes off the ropes. He hits him with a curb stomp. Very close near fall. And they got the fans. So the fans are into this. The fans are really biting on these near falls. And there were a lot more yet to come. There was already a bunch of near falls by this point. But there was more coming here. So Rollins brought him to the ropes. He's going to go for the superplex. He delivers the superplex. He rolls through. He's going to go for the Falcon Arrow. But no, Roman gets the guillotine locked in deep. Because fuck superplexes, I guess. It's like, I'm not sure what's more egregious. When I see the superplex being no-sold or when I saw that 450 splash being no-sold by Nick Jackson at Redemption. I'm not sure which one irritated me more. Probably the 450. But anyway, he's got him locked in the guillotine. Seth is fighting it. Roman, though, takes him to the mat. He's got his legs now wrapped around him like a snake. Rollins, though, manages to get back to his feet. Right, he's fighting his way back up to his feet. Roman catches him with a spear, though. And then there's another big near fall. Crowd is feeling it. Roman starts shit-talking. Because he's like talking to himself. He goes, he's a 2, I'm a 1. So he stood Rollins up, bounces off the ropes. He's coming off the rope. He's going to go for a spear. Instead, Seth spears him before Roman can spear Seth. He covers him. Roman kicks out. So now it's Seth who is doing the shit talking here. And he goes, you think I'm a number 2? He goes, I own your ass. Picks him up for a buckle bomb. He delivers the buckle bomb. Seth goes for a stomp. Roman avoids it. He hits a buckle bomb of his own. And then we get a stomp by Roman Reigns. And he covers him and Rollins gets a shoulder up. And at this point, I mean, they were basically just spamming each other's moves. And the fans were buying into it because they're big moves. And, you know, these are big stars doing big moves. So, yeah, they'll bite on anything. But that's basically what they were doing here during this whole sequence. So now they're on their knees and they're talking to each other. And Roman is looking at him and he goes, it's always been us. He goes, it's always been me and you. Ever since the motherfucking Red Rooster. It's always been me and you. And I'm like, did I just hear that? Well, I'm like, excuse me? Did we just get a Red Rooster reference in the middle of this SummerSlam main event here in 2026? I thought maybe I was losing my mind. I was not expecting that. And actually, when the match was over, Jackie Redmond was interviewing on the post show. She was interviewing Roman Reigns, and she asked him, like, there was a certain point in the match, you were talking to Seth, like, what were you saying to Seth? And Roman said, he goes, it's always been me and you since the FCW days. And the Red Rooster was bitching at us. So I'm like, okay, he did say Red Rooster. I'm not going crazy here. We got a Terry Taylor Red Rooster reference in the middle of this match. Now, the only thing that this main event was missing was a Red Rooster run-in. Can you imagine Terry Taylor running down to the ring with that fucking red streak right down his hair? runs into the ring. He's like clucking like a fucking rooster and he hits him with a chair. That's the big swerve at the end of the match. Fucking Red Rooster. Oh my God, the meltdown. I would have 5,000 people in here right now. It would be glorious. Like the people that would be losing their minds if the fucking Red Rooster had interfered in this main event. This would have been a generational stream. Oh my God. Now I'm kind of sad it didn't happen. They probably, the sad part is they probably sell a lot of Red Rooster merch these days. People will buy anything. What kind of merch could you sell, though, for the Red Rooster? I mean, other than like an action figure. He didn't really bring anything down to the ring with it. We can sell like eggs. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I'm still talking about this. So anyway, they start slugging it out. And in the course of them going back and forth, Rollins, I think, accidentally kind of threw a back elbow on like the recoil as he was throwing a shot. And the referee got clipped. So the referee went down. Now, he's not out cold. He's just sort of down in the corner trying to regroup. Rollins, with what Michael Cole called the wacky line. God, I haven't heard that reference in a long time, since the Big Dog days. We got a wacky line from Seth Rollins, and Michael Cole says, "Hello, Dean Ambrose." Rollins set up for a Moxley paradigm shift. Roman, though, hits one instead. An ode, Michael Cole said, to the third Shield member, who he had just identified. But here he didn't say his name. He just said the third Shield member. So Reigns, he sets up for a spear, but he ends up spearing the referee by accident when Rollins moves out of the way. So there's your ref bump. Now let the fuckery begin, is what I'm thinking, right? Because we had the same situation last night in the CM Punk and Cody Rhodes match. When the ref goes down, right, shit goes up, and we have to wait and see who's going to run in, what's going to happen. So Rollins, he goes outside, and he retrieves a chair. He brings it into the ring with him. He's gearing up. Roman is pulling himself up using the ropes. And they have this perfectly framed as Rollins doing what he did all those years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was, when he put the chair in Roman's back. Right? He's going to do it again. But that hesitation, as he's waiting and waiting and waiting, instead of just doing it, that hesitation ends up costing him because Roman turns around and catches him with a thrust right to the face. And so down goes Rollins. Now Roman sees the chair laying there on the mat, and he reaches down, he picks up the chair. Now Seth is over, pulling himself up using the ropes, and Roman is contemplating here. He's thinking about, do I want to do this? Do I want to use this chair? Do I want to become him and do what he did to me? Roman, he ends up tossing the chair away. And he's standing there, he's waiting for Seth to turn around. And he does. And Roman says, right here, in the middle of the ring, me and you. No chair. And I looked at the clock. We had just hit the 30-minute mark in this match. And they start slugging it out again. And I'm thinking to myself, where is the referee? The referee's been down now for several minutes. And it's not like, I mean, he didn't take a fucking buckle bomb or something here. I mean, he took a spear, I guess. But it had been a while, and I was at least looking for the referee to like start waking up here. There's no referee. So Seth is slapping him. You know, be a man, Roman, be a man. Little Randy Savage there, right? Be a man, Hulk. Reigns fires back. Rollins starts giving him Kawada kicks to the head. Roman, though, strikes back with a Superman punch. Seth stays on his feet, though. Right? He's wobbly, but he's on his feet. Roman goes for a spear, but when he dives for the spear, he dives right into a pedigree. We've seen this spot before from Rollins countless times. He hits the pedigree. Seth is waiting. Goes for the stomp, but no, Roman moves out of the way, but then he hits the stomp anyway. That was kind of weird. So he ended up stomping him anyway. So now Seth is climbing to the top rope. He's going to go for a super stomp. Comes off the top. Roman moves out of the way. Roman hits a spear. Seth eventually makes his way back up. Another spear connects, and I'm thinking, like, where is this fucking referee? There's still no referee. Where is this ref? Roman's in the corner. He hits a third spear. As Michael Cole said, the death blow to the Shield. And finally, there's the referee. Roman makes the cover. He gets the pin. 33 minutes in to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. It was 9:04 p.m. Seth is sitting in the corner. He's staring at Roman. He looks very dejected. Roman is sitting in the opposite corner, looking right across at him. And they're staring each other down. So now Roman comes to the middle of the ring, and he puts his fist out. It's like the old Shield days, right? He puts the fist out. Seth joins him in the middle of the ring, and they bump fists. And they have the Shield mask that Rollins had brought out earlier, the half mask, the skull mask, is sitting on the mat in between them on the canvas. So you have Roman on the right, you have the mask on the ground in the middle, and you have Seth on the left. And I believe the mask is supposed to represent Dean Ambrose. At least I hope it is, because I love the symbolism there. So I assume that was the whole purpose behind doing it that way. Because obviously he couldn't be there, and so this was their way of kind of representing him. And we got that parting shot, of the Shield, one last time here. And there's your match of the night. There's your match of the night. There's your match of the weekend. Much better than the Cody Rhodes CM Punk match that we got, I felt like, on night one. There is a formula to these Roman Reigns matches. I mean, to some degree, everybody has a formula, right? For some people, the formula is more exciting than others. Roman has a formula to these matches. If you watch them, you kind of pick up on it. You can kind of know what's coming. Lots of spears, lots of Superman punches. Sometimes other people will give him the spear. We see a lot of that, but he is very good at pulling out kind of these matches every now and then anyway that feel epic. And he did that with Punk at WrestleMania this year. And it takes two to tango. You got to give credit to Punk also, but he did that at WrestleMania this year. That was an excellent main event. And he did it again here with Rollins. And I don't know that I would say this was better than Mania. This was not better than Mania. The Mania match was better. But I thought that this ended up being an excellent main event. I'm glad that we can close this chapter once and for all. As far as the Shield goes, we can move on from this. As far as what's next for Seth Rollins, I don't know. I don't know right now. I don't know. Certainly, I hope it's not the Vision or anything to do with them. So I'm not quite sure what's next for him. For Roman Reigns, it all depends on how much longer he plans on sticking around, because he told us many months ago after he won the championship at WrestleMania, he said on the post show, "You got me for the summer. No more of this part-time shit. Like, you got me for the summer. Okay, so shut the fuck up," was basically his message. Well, the summer's not over yet, right? The summer is not technically over until later next month, but at least the rest of August, beginning of September, right? They say Labor Day is the unofficial end of summer. He should be sticking around for a while. And actually, they announced a bunch of dates for him. He's not going to be on I don't know that he's going to be on really any Raws in September. But he does have dates. He is going to be at Money in the Bank. So maybe plans have changed. Maybe he's not going to completely go away for 2 or 3 months at a time. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting him terribly consistently on TV. But he is going to be at Money in the Bank. We'll see if they add, a WrestlePalooza or something in September. A lot of it will depend on that. How long is he going to be around for? Or is he going to disappear mostly and then resurface in time for War Games? And we get another Bloodline War Games. Is that what we're headed for? Very possible. How much longer is, Jacob Fatu going to play lapdog in the Bloodline before they pick things back up with him and Roman? There's been no indication lately that anything is going to change. He just became subservient to him in, May? They're probably going to keep this going into next year. So in the meantime, it feels like Fatu, they've really cooled him off. So what's next for him? You would think that Roman is not going to be very happy about the fact that Fatu and the Usos lost on night one. So is there going to be some sort of conversation that happens on Raw this Monday as far as that goes? LA Knight in that 6-man tag last night, he got the win. He pinned Jey Uso. Does that set him up for a one and done? Because if he gets a title shot, it's going to be a one and done. Maybe he'll get a world title match with Roman out of it. And then Roman can beat him and they can move on. So maybe we see something like that. I could see him maybe being in line. Drew McIntyre. He's another one where Drew is going to be back at some point. He was on SmackDown last time we saw him. Maybe he ends up on Raw. Maybe they kind of resume the whole Bloodline Hunter gimmick that he was doing there for a while. That could be something. Roman and Oba is the ultimate match. It doesn't feel to me like that's a match they're going to want to go to in the next couple of months. Could it be WrestlePalooza? Could it be Money in the Bank? Sure, but I would be very surprised if at this point, because they didn't do it on this show, if they don't just wait until WrestleMania next year and just do it there. Because, Mania for them is still like, it's the end all be all, and they want to give them the big WrestleMania moment. I worry about, okay, what are they going to do with Oba in the meantime? It almost doesn't make any sense for him to do anything else but challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. Like, logically speaking, that should be the next match. The next match should be Roman and Oba. I don't know that they want to go to it that quickly, though. I would. I wouldn't wait until WrestleMania next year. But that's probably, something that they would want to do. And then it's like, okay, well, what do you do with these guys in the meantime? Right? That's the big question. As I said at the beginning of the review, there was a lot more to like about night 2 than there was about night 1. Both nights had their flaws. We kind of went over what those were. The time management could have been a lot better on some of these undercard matches. And not even just the undercard matches, even the main event last night, where it just felt like it was about to kick into that next gear, and then it just ended abruptly. And what could have been like a couple of classic matches maybe this weekend, we never got that. That's not a word I would use to describe anything that we got on these shows this weekend. Even though, again, I really like the main event tonight. On the broadcast, Michael Cole's always throwing words like that around. Oh, an instant classic. I pay less and less attention to what he says or what they tell him to say, because it's just so over the top. When you start throwing words like that around when it's undeserved, or you throw them around like, every month there's a new classic match, like it doesn't mean anything after a while. Not a word I would use to describe, any of this. But night 2 was better than night 1. The matches were better on the whole. We got some memorable moments sprinkled in with a really great main event. Thumbs up show. Which makes it a thumbs up SummerSlam overall. I can't say that it's an overly enthusiastic thumbs up. Like, man, my favorite SummerSlam in 10 years. Like, no. I would go 7 out of 10 on the whole. If I was 6 out of 10 last night, I would say this bumped it up maybe to a 7. I think that's fair. Bronson Reed threw a tweet taking a shot at Obafemi. Hey, I love that match. Obafemi and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed should be back very soon. He should be back very soon. So, yeah, sign me up for that, man. I would love to see that. We're still 10 likes away from 1,000. We did hit the bonus goal, though. So we're guaranteed at least one round of Be the Booker. I just noticed that. What do you think about that? Bronson Reed and Obafemi. How are we feeling about that?
Mentos, the fresh maker.
James Crawford. Dropping some more Mentos love on us here. Man, James is on fire tonight. I love it. I love to see it. But yeah, 7 out of 10. I think that's more than fair here for these shows. Hey, Linkmaster, thank you. Says Seth is to Roman what Randy was to Cena. Well, yeah, I mean, they've just been linked so closely for so long. The thing with Orton and Cena, it just got to a point where I didn't want to see them in the ring together for like at least 10 years. I was like, I don't want to see this anymore. you know, because we saw it so many times. You just kind of burn people out on it. But the thing about it was like Orton and Cena, relative to the number of matches they had, they did not bring out the best in each other. There are certain people that will work together and they have great matches and they just bring out the best in each other when the bell rings. They never really brought the best out of each other. Like Orton had his best matches with people not named John Cena, and John Cena had his best matches with people not named Randy Orton, right? He had his best matches with Edge and Punk and AJ. You know, for Orton, Christian, right? Christian would be one. God, who else would I say Randy Orton had some of his best matches with? Who were some of Randy's best opponents? It's a good question. Other than Christian. I don't know. Yes, I know. Synchro says 11 minutes. Penta and Gable got 11 minutes. I know. You're preaching to the choir here. See, now all of you were saying Cactus Jack, Mick Foley. Yes, but you're going back to 2004, though. It was one match. That's kind of sad if, like, all we can think of is Christian and Cactus Jack. I mean, think about how long Randy Orton's been around for. Undertaker. All right, Undertaker, they had a few. They had a few matches, right? Hey, Polaris, cheers, brother. The military. Oh, you guys are too much. Let's check out your super chats here. Oh, bring them up. Here we go. Hey, Larry Jester, thank you. Again, Joshua, I got to thank you for those 2 big bombs that he dropped on me. I already read them earlier, brother. I gave those top priority. Thank you again. Actually, let me, there were some that came in before that. Super Pony. Yeah, Murph's. He had some good ones with AJ. I mean, I feel like it would be impossible for people to not have good matches with AJ Styles. So yeah, I would say AJ was one of them. Super Pony says, listen, I don't care what bullshit they want to give me about Punk being the bigger star and the bigger draw. Kevin Owens needs to win the WWE title. End of story. He is one of one, a special talent. Yes, he is. And honestly, you know what? For all the times that he challenged for the championship and didn't win against Roman and against Cody, and he just came back, I would put the title on him as well. I agree with you 100%. Put the title on Kevin Owens. I endorse that. GMB says, I wish Chelsea wasn't bad in ring and people only relying on that Penta match from a decade ago to dispute that. For huge heat, have JC beat her for the title. Beat her for the interim title? If you were going to do that, why not just have JC in the ladder match and win the interim title there? That's what they should have done. Actually, what they should have done is had Blake Monroe in the ladder match, and then they can kind of branch off with her and Tiffany in a feud for the U.S. title. But they had a different idea. The Shaunathon says, the fatal four-way of the Mount Rushmore of NXT Black and Gold. LOL. Love seeing KO back, but storyline, Sami has every right to be pissed. Yes, he does. I did notice Balor and Owens being in there. It reminded me of, like, it's been 10 years. Not only did Balor win the Universal title on this show 10 years ago, but because he got hurt and was stripped, the person who benefited from that and ended up winning the championship was Kevin Owens. And so here they were in the ring together 10 years later. Joshua had another 1999. I only watched WWE from January through August. My next question is, when do you think the peak was? My opinion was Elimination Chamber 2025, with the rest of the year held up by John Cena's retirement and overpriced PLEs. Yeah, again, they peaked after the main event of WrestleMania 40. You want to know creatively anyway. You want to know what the peak was? That was the peak. And they haven't been able to recapture that since. Party on Sparty. Realistically, Oba should get Roman next. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing else really makes sense. I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to have to figure out a side quest for him in the meantime. But 100%. Oba should have nothing else on his mind but the championship. Although it's his fucking fault that he didn't get a title shot on this show, but that's on him. Deathside says they add Gunther, who competed on night 1 to the number 1 contenders match. On night 2, they add him. Yet they can't add Oba to the World Heavyweight Championship match so he can beat both Seth and Roman. Well, because it interferes with the Shield lore. This is the Shield story, and it's Roman Reigns. So, yes, they're not going to put him in there to just beat Roman. They want Roman to have that belt. Roman is their guy. More than Cody, more than Punk, Roman is the number 1 star in this company. Roman is the one who they have effectively built everything around. He is still the anchor of the Bloodline story. Roman's not going to do what Roman doesn't want to do. And I doubt the company wanted to take the belt off of Roman, so that's why we didn't get the match. Says at Money in the Bank, I can now see Sami Zayn winning the briefcase and Kevin Owens winning the WWE Championship, and Sami cashes in on the same night to win the title, and we get a KO Sami feud over the belt. What are your thoughts? I love it. I love it. But Punk is still going to be the number 1 guy on that brand. So Punk realistically is not going to be involved. So I don't hate what you just proposed, and I think that it's actually very realistic. But Punk is still going to have to be involved in some way. I don't see him not being involved. Got Jeff Bray. Thank you, Jeff. Giovanni Padilla. Hello, Solo. Thanks for the review. What are wrestling pet peeves of yours? Mine are when wrestlers did their opponent's finishers and finisher spam. Brother, I have too many to name, but you're in luck because I did an entire video on this. So what I would recommend that you do, because I can't possibly remember them all off the top of my head, but I laid them all out. I went on this like ridiculous rant. It wasn't even planned. It was like a mailbag question that somebody sent in on one of the podcasts, and it just turned into this whole like list of grievances and all these wrestling pet peeves. It's on the channel. I clipped it for the channel. So if you just go to the search and, I don't know, type in Solomonster pet peeves or whatever, it should come right up. People seem to really enjoy it, so hopefully you will too. Daryl Strawberry is back with us tonight. Little roller up along first, behind the back. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it. Those are words that you don't hear too often these days, and the Mets win it. The Mets aren't going to be winning anything when they have this baseball lockout. Deathside says, we need a faction that kills other factions called the Extermination Squad. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Alexander with a $4.99. Chelsea winning had me quoting Drew McIntyre. I prayed for this and it happened. I was worried that they would play it safe with Jade or Charlotte. I was convinced they were going to give it to Lash. I'm glad they didn't. I was happy to be wrong about that. Oh, it was wrestling is that what it was? Wrestling tropes? Well, some of the wrestling tropes, though, I think there were some pet peeves in there. I mean, again, there's so many different pet peeves. It's a pet peeve of mine when you have the fucking champion who enters first and the challenger enters second. Unless the challenger, it's like a, you know, like a legend or like there's a really good reason for it. I'm a believer that the champion should always be entering last. I guess you would call that a pet peeve. Prince Vegeta, Michael Cole is like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. What careers and legends they are. And oh yeah, that one Dean guy. He's saying what he's told. I'm sure they're in his ear, or they're talking to him before the show. Ruben Constantino. First time, long time. Love the show, Solo. Thank you, Ruben. First time, huh? Don't be a stranger. Death Scythe. After tonight, Seth Rollins should be in the role that AJ Styles was in, a utility guy that can be plugged into any role instead of hogging the main events. Yeah, but you don't really do that with a top guy when he's not, like, washed up yet. You do that with somebody when he's like a few steps off. You really want to demote them. Rollins is still one of their key guys. Why would you do that? Why would you turn him into a utility guy? I'm okay with him now being in the main event for a little bit and feuding him with somebody new. But to turn him into a utility guy, I don't know that I would be doing that. Jersey Authentic, I think Chelsea Green is going to get the Zack Ryder treatment. Win a championship in the ladder match, lose it on the next show. Losing it to Nia Jax. Oh my God. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you suggest that? What are you doing? I mean, if that's the case, who said JC Jane before? I'd rather they go with JC Jane, but apparently JC is going after the US title. King Nader with a New Zealand 170, which was a 100 US. Thank you, King Nader. I saw the 170. I'm like, I should be so lucky. Holy shit. I got thrown off there when I saw that. I said, wait. That's a different denomination. Willis Wheeler. WWE has no black champions on the roster right now. Interesting. They did at one time. They had, I think, a bunch of them all at once. Don't worry about it. Oba's getting that belt. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. It's only a matter of time. Jade had the belt only a couple of months ago. Thinking about tag teams. The Street Profits had it, and then they lost it. Paul Carpenter, who did it better? The love storyline, Phineas and Sonny, or Otis and Mandy? Or Otis and Maxine. Otis and Maxine, there was no love story with Otis and Maxine. There was no story with Otis and Maxine. Who did it better? I mean, Otis and Mandy was very entertaining. Deathside says, after Rhea beats Chelsea, Chelsea should be recognized as an official WWE Women's Champion because it would be an insult if she is not. It's an interim title, brother. My guess is it won't count. Prince Vegeta 95, I wouldn't put KO in another world title match unless he wins it. He's lost too many title matches. Well, that's why I said I endorse the idea of him winning the title, because we've seen him countless times before, like challenge for the WWE Championship, and he always fails. I don't understand why you would bring him back and vault him into a title match and just have him lose again. But Sami Zayn is in the wings, and he's probably not very happy with what happened tonight. Maybe Sami screws him over. Aaron says Nick Khan eyes lit up when he saw the human monies. Oh, I'll bet. Reborn Blader. I know it's an awful song, but the Gable theme has grown on me. I kind of like it. Loving the streams solo. Thank you, Reborn Blader. I get what they're trying to do with it. You know, they want people to get into the chorus where it goes, Gable, and they chant his name. Yeah, obviously they were doing it here in Minneapolis. I don't know that it's catching on everywhere else, but that's the idea behind it. Super Pony, Punk should be the heel in this KO program. I don't think anybody is going to cheer him over Kevin. I also think Kevin Owens is going to tear him to shreds on the microphone. I think it's going to be very entertaining on the mic. I'm looking forward to the promos as much as I am any matches that they're going to have. St. James, fiance and I dislike Roman to where they were actually rooting for Seth, who they also hate, but less. We're really bummed out by the finally. I don't know what you mean. You mean finale? I don't know. We got a couple of Roman Reigns haters here, though. The Bloodline fans are not going to like hearing about that. Solomonster's lost son is back with us tonight with a $4.99. Dad, I can't believe that KO returned tonight. My second favorite wrestler. I was shaking my ass to his theme song when he was coming out. I don't think I needed to know that, son. Death Scythe. I did enjoy Randy Orton coming out night one like he was James Earl Cash from the Manhunt video game and slayed Cody. So hopefully their program is Orton just making Cody's life a snuff film. A snuff film? Boy, you guys have some wild ideas here. This is a PG product, sir. We don't do that type of stuff. Wee Almighty with a 10. If Brock shows up tomorrow night on Raw wearing a hot pink snakeskin suit with matching cowboy boots, I'm changing the channel. Not falling for that retirement speech again. It's a salmon snakeskin suit. It's not hot pink. Jeremy Rose, this gotta lead to Sami and Drew in a partnership. I think that could be interesting. I thought maybe Owens would be a part of it, but obviously not. Death Scythe says 2026 Sami Zayn is 1997 Bret Hart. Look, 1997 Bret Hart is goated. 2026 Sami Zayn is not in that league right now. There are similarities in the gimmick, but I'm not going to compare the two. Deathside says if God forbid Drew McIntyre ever got injured, he should adopt Randy Orton's RNN and call it DNN. Have vignettes featuring him talking about his condition and interrupting other segments. So you want him to just copy what was done before? That sounds very unoriginal. He's got to put his own spin on it. He's got to figure out a way to make it unique to him. Jay Warren with a 1999. I wanted to support my favorite content creators being here during my downtime. Keep up the great work. Hey, Jay, I appreciate that very much. Thank you for the support. Hot pink. Brother is fucking blind. Yeah, it was not a hot pink suit. Mark Henry was not wearing hot pink, I could tell you that. The average grunt, I suggest we start calling them signature moves. I endorse that. They're not finishing moves. Finishing moves don't exist anymore. Finishing moves don't finish anybody, so you can't call them finishing moves. Impractically Christopher, thank you for the Cosm Super Chat. We read that one earlier. Hopefully one day I get to check out that place. Alexander, Chelsea should beat Rhea, then go on to feud with Blake Monroe, and then let Chelsea drop the belt to her. Rhea does not need the belt, in my opinion. Oh, no, she doesn't need it, but they're going to want her to have it for Crown Jewel, would be my guess. Jeremy says, You're sleeping on a Live Chelsea program. Am I? They're not even on the same brand. James Crawford with a $100 super chat bomb and then a 30 on top of that. But he says, I love you, Solo. You are my IWC tribal chief. It's nice to be acknowledged. RD Beats with a 20. Hey, Solo, RD Beats here. Yeah, well, I kind of got that. Wanted to let you know I've got the biggest match of my career this Saturday at the AAPW Arena against Blaylock in a dog collar grudge match on our biggest show of the year. I always enjoy your podcast. Well, I always enjoy the updates from you, and I think that's awesome. A dog collar grudge match. Well, look, be safe. Try not to get too banged up there, and hopefully you win your match. You have to write back when it's over and let us know how it goes. Man, a dog collar match. Those are rough. See what I did there? Nicola's a darling. $15. I know you said you can't do pizza, but you should accept that it's going to be a bad night, although not as bad as watching Raw, and get Le Industry. One slice of fig, jam, and bacon. Congrats on your well-earned success. Le Industry. I've not heard of this before. One slice of fig jam and bacon. Man, I'm getting hungry. Thank you, Nicholas. I may have to look into that. Deathside says Braun Breaker should just give his tag team title to Logan Paul because he doesn't the Vision, aka Temu Maximum Male Models. Did you leave a word out of that super chat? I think he meant doesn't belong in the Vision, which he does not. He does not belong in the Vision anymore. Yeah, the longer he stays in that group, I mean, Braun Breaker is just, I mean, he's dying on the vine. Dying on the Vine says, can you imagine if they tried to plug the Mug Root Beer mascot when Brock Lesnar was giving his endorsement to Obafemi? Oh, I would have loved it because Brock would have fucking murdered him. Brock would have picked him up for an F5, dumped him on the wooden boards. You try that and see what happens. We have Enigma 316. To be fair, 75% or so has to be ad placement these days. Yeah. I mean, that's what these shows are. So I can either just repeat myself over and over again and talk about how terrible these shows are relative to how they used to be because of it, or we just sort of accept that, okay, this is the format of these shows, and all the wrestling that we do get, what little bit of wrestling we get in between all of the various plugs and various ads, is it good enough? And sadly, it's not always, because they just don't get enough time. You would think on the premium live events that they would get a little more than 11 minutes, you know, for a big title match like that, but evidently not. You know, why give them 14 minutes when we can give them 11 and we can have another DiGiorno's pizza ad? Why not do that? Schiff and Shiv. WWE is all hype and no substance. All hat and no cattle. A polished turd, if you will. A man of very interesting words there. Hey, Death Scythe. Coming in with another 5. Pizza Hut, anyone? Yeah, Pizza Hut used to be a favorite of mine. James Crawford with another 30 because you love it, Solo. Yes, I do. I love that super chat. I had a lot of fun making that one. James is like the mailman. Look at this guy. He's always delivering. Nicholas with another 5. Can't wait for the next season of Unreal with a scripted scene of Michael Hayes pitching Chelsea's win for PR appearances. She earned this moment. Yeah, he'll take credit for it. He'll take credit for the idea. Base Beer, Seth is to Roman what Randy was to Cena. Mentioned that one before. Retro KOH. Sell rubber chickens for the Red Rooster, like the one that got thrown at Cody. Oh my God, I forgot about the rubber chicken from WrestleMania 39. Oh man, I forgot about that. It landed so perfectly too, like right next to him. Jeremy Rose with a 10. I thought the night should have ended with Oba confronting Rhodes. I was wondering about that as they were getting ready to go off the air. I was waiting to see if the lights were going to go out and then Oba was going to come out and we were going to get a big face-to-face. But if they're not going to do the match soon, then I guess there's no point in teasing people like that. If you're going to do that, then you have to go to that match next. Said tonight was way better than last night, but the bar is super low. Hopefully Punk, KO, and Orton, Cody feuds pick things up, but I doubt it. Look, I hope so because SmackDown needs all the help it can get, and Raw, honestly, has not been much better. Now that SummerSlam is in the books, hopefully we get some new stories, and starting Monday, we'll see what the direction is going to be. Schiff is back again. Glad to see Chelsea get her due. She brings fun and shows up ready to work even when injured. Now do Solo Sikoa and LA Knight. Well, LA Knight, of course, the jury is out on that one. Solo Sikoa, though, again, I really hope they just let him keep doing his thing. He will continue to get over. Just let him continue to do his thing. Jeremy says, don't know how we get there. Give me Penta and Seth. Yeah, they haven't worked together yet, have they? Solomonster's lost son. I can't believe my top 5 favorites are all on the same brand. Ilya? Who's that? I don't know who that is. Who is this Ilya that you speak of? It says Ilya, Punk, Randy, KO, and Cody. Now, please just bring Ilya back to TV. Yeah, I stopped even thinking about it. Jeremy Rose with a 10. What if the story is Roman says, Oba, you ain't ready, rookie, and avoid, he ain't ready. He ain't ready. He beat the Beast twice. He won King of the Ring. Roman says, Oba, you ain't ready, and avoids the match. Oba continues to destroy the roster. Roman shows up every 3 weeks and says, not enough. Delaying the match until WrestleMania. Boy, that sounds so exciting. That sounds so exciting. Roman shows up every 3 weeks and says, not good enough. And we just drag things out until we get to April of next year. It sounds like exciting TV. Death Side says, I just hope they don't have Oba win the Royal Rumble and have Oba give his shot to The Rock, because that would be stupid. Oh, wait, they already did that with Cody. Oh, I fully expect Oba is winning the Rumble next year. You know, in his rookie year, Brock won King of the Ring. He won the championship. He beat Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell. And then he won his first Royal Rumble. And I think they're going to follow, maybe without winning the title this year, but they're going to follow the same blueprint with Obafemi. Larry Jester says, how do you think a Boss Man Intercontinental title run would have gone? I think he would have been very popular, and I think he would have probably held it for, I don't know, 6 months or less, and then dropped it to, you know, whoever the new heel was they were trying to get over. But he was very popular. He was a very popular babyface. I think it would have gone fine. I think it would have gone well. Derek J. speaks. What if when they do Rhea in Chelsea, Tiffany costs Chelsea the match and officially turns heel? Then we get a Chelsea-Tiffany feud as a clear face versus heel. Sure. And you could do that for the U.S. title if Tiffany still has it. Jeremy Rose, imagine how Kevin Owens winning the title will set off Sami. Oh, he's not going to be very happy about any of this. Every man has his breaking point. Base Beerus Taker, not Austin, showing up at WrestleMania 40 was confusing. Yeah, it should have been Austin, but he didn't want to do it. What are you going to do? You're going to have a Stone Cold lookalike go out there? Going to have Stone Cold E.T. show up at WrestleMania? Going to have Will Sasso in a bald cap? I mean, what are they supposed to do? He doesn't want to show up. He doesn't want to show up. Schiff says, my boy Finn's face when Gunther and KO came to the ring. Basically, whatever. Yeah, because he knew his goose was cooked at that point. He's like, oh well. I'll be hitting the showers in the next 7 minutes. Base Beer says they missed the chance to have an ad on the wood under the ring mat. Pine Sol, where something would have been appropriate. Well, now you're giving them ideas for next time. We have CNM with a $9.99. Seth looked exactly like Buzz Lightyear with that entrance jacket and the pants. Well, the difference, I mean, Buzz Lightyear is cool, so that's the difference. I very much enjoyed that main event and very happy to see Gable get his moment. Appreciate all the hard work, Solo. Thank you, CNM. Base Beerus, is Nightbot in Be the Booker? No. Nightbot is in the chat. Nightbot is not in Be the Booker. I believe Nightbot is in the chat. Yes, Nightbot is in the chat. How's it going, Nightbot? Everybody say hello to Nightbot. Always inspecting in the chat. Aaron says, did you see WWE is putting exclusive Raw and SmackDowns on Club WWE? I guess they aren't going to put the Raws on Netflix, and they're going to nickel and dime people. Oh, that's their MO. They're going to nickel and dime you until they get every fucking penny out of your pocket. They've had a Raw vault on Netflix now for what, a year and a half? Whatever it's been. 2 years. It's pathetic. The selection of Raws are pathetic on the Raw vault. Worst thing that ever happened was the WWE Network going away. Base Beer says, is LA Knight above Dominik in the rankings now? I mean, he should be. He lost to fucking Danhausen. And LA Knight pinned Jey Uso. So why wouldn't he be above him in the rankings? If there were rankings. I meant to say Braun doesn't need the vision. Yes, you and I agree, so I knew exactly what you meant. Death Scythe also says, I know Liv and Chelsea are on different brands, but like I keep saying, like that matters. Oh, it doesn't matter. They could do whatever they want. Alex, Brother Solo, for a very brief moment when Roman and Seth were doing the Shield fist thing. Well, they were fisting. That's what they were doing. You could say it. Roman and Seth were fisting in the middle of the ring at the end of SummerSlam. I mean, you just got to call it what it is. But he says, for a very brief moment, and when the music faded, I thought Rock would come out. I keep telling people, like, they're like, oh, because there were some people even going into SummerSlam. Maybe The Rock is going to come out. Maybe that's why they're doing Roman on night 2. And The Rock is going to come out. Like, you guys, you got to give it up. You got to stop doing this to yourself. When will you learn? When will you learn your lesson? Base Beer says, waiting for the next season of Raw Underground. They still do the Underground stuff in NXT, don't they? NXT Underground. Nick Rosso, glad to see Kevin Owens back, and I love that he showed love to Rebel during his post-show speech. And speaking of Rebel, love that AEW is doing a Rebel-themed Dynamite, and Britt Baker needs to be on that show. Yeah, they have a Rebel Heart edition of Dynamite coming up in early September to raise awareness and I think money for ALS. Did KO shout her out on the post-show? That's very cool. You know, Tony Khan did the Ice Bucket Challenge the other day. And I was kind of low-key hoping that he would nominate, like, Paul Levesque and Nick Khan. Put them on the spot. They should totally do it. If there's one thing that I think all of this tribalist or competitive bullshit should be set aside for, that's the sort of thing that should trump that. Jeremy says, so Oba wins Royal Rumble and then says that I'm owed 2 title shots now and will be in both nights' main events. And wins both belts. GOAT. Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do that. I don't think that's a good idea. We have Linkmaster. Is Miz top 100 of all time? Excellent career. Dude, I don't even have a top 100 list. Is he top 100 on my list? If I had one, no. But, I mean, in WWE history, if you were basing it on accomplishments, sure. Sure. WWE champion twice. Intercontinental champion, United States champion, tag team champion, headline WrestleMania, Money in the Bank. The longevity that he's had in that company over 20 years. You know, he's a WWE Hall of Famer. Is he in my top 100? No. There have been a lot of people that have been in wrestling over these decades. Not everybody is going to be in the top 100. Big G said he's not even in the top 500. I mean, look, you said it. I didn't say it. You said it. Aaron says buy or sell. Better attires. Shawn Michaels or Macho Man? Oh, Macho Man. See, the thing with Macho Man is he would wear some ridiculous outfits, but it worked for him because he was a fucking psycho. And you would think that a crazy guy like that would probably wear something like that. With Seth, when he does it, it's like he's trying to be Macho Man. He's trying too hard. For Macho, it just felt like it came natural. Does that make sense? Didn't feel like he was playing a part. Like, that's who he is. Like, I could believe that if he was walking around in his everyday life, he would have that, like, ridiculous hat on his head because he was probably trying to protect, you know, cover up the balding that he was going through. So I could picture him wearing a hat like that. All right, so the likes goal was 1,000. We are currently over 1,100, and we hit the bonus goal, which actually, I'm going to start. We do these occasional bonuses where, you know, if we hit it, we toss out bonus round. Actually, we might even toss out an intergender. How about that? Intergender round. Yeah, it's an ambitious one. I just throw that out there. 1 super chat, but it's a big one. So anyway, that'll be the bonus goal. But we did hit the bonus. You guys are awesome. And so let's go ahead and do it. It's time to be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
We are over 2 hours into this stream, and it is finally time to be the booker. Hey, Wink the Cosmic Grandma. It says Dom to Ray. They're putting me over Cena, Ray to Dom. So you can put over Danhausen. That's right. You know, I forgot. I forgot that Dom did beat Cena at Survivor Series last year. Oh, man. And the St. Clair says, back at the hotel from SummerSlam, it was good, 6 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. I'm willing to go as high as 7 for the entire weekend, but I can't go. I feel like that's being generous, but I can't go higher than that. It was not a great SummerSlam, but it had its moments. More so tonight than night one. All right, here we go. Tag team Be the Booker. We have Firaxium, Nathan Frazier, and Axiom, the former NXT tag team champions. They were a great team in NXT. They really were. We have Fraxium against the Real Americans, Cesaro and Jack Swagger. I think that would be a great match. I feel like those four would really work well together. You know, Fraxium's a smaller team. These guys are bigger. They have the size advantage. Nathan Frazier is just ridiculous. When it comes to the speed that he wrestles, it's ridiculous. I think that could be a fun match. I do. All right, women's Be the Booker. We have got Mayu Iwatani, a legend in her own right. Some people want to see her in WWE. I don't. Not after the booking of Julia. Mayu Iwatani against the lovely Maurice. Always have a soft spot for Maurice. Her character work, more than her in-ring, her character work was on point. And now we have our first main event. And in the main event, Ricky Saints, who wrestled Carmelo Hayes on main event last week. Ricky Saints did not make his first SummerSlam. Maybe next year. Mayu would murder Maurice. Well, that goes without saying. Ricky Saints against CM Punk. And funny enough, we actually have seen that match before. That is a match that we have gotten before. I believe we were supposed to get that in a strap match, weren't we? But we ended up getting him and Danielson instead because Punk left. Punk went away. Is that the sequence of events? Am I remembering correctly? Okay, you guys have unlocked a bonus round. You get one more round of Be the Booker. Can we do the double sweep? I got the chime ready and waiting if we do. Our first match is going to be a Buried Alive match. Speaking of Julia, I feel like we should start with the women in tribute to her. We're going to have a women's Buried Alive match. You know, Julia's in here. It would be very appropriate if we landed on her. You hear me, Be the Booker? I'm talking to you. I know you can hear me. Some of the people that we land on sometimes. You can hear every word I'm saying. We need Julia in this Buried Alive match. Bianca Belair. God, I miss Bianca. Oh, I miss Bianca Belair. Did she have her baby yet? She looked like she was ready to pop like over a week ago. Bianca in a Buried Alive match. Against who? Against Ivory. Bianca and Ivory. See, Ivory was a good wrestler. People don't realize that she goes back to the Glow days. This was a shitty gimmick. But Gina Moretti, I mean, she was a good wrestler. Her and Bianca, I think they could put together a very good match. Our second match. A Brawl for All match. Oh, God, yeah, Naomi. I forgot about Naomi, too. Yeah, where's Naomi? It's been over a year. Actually, no, it hasn't. It's been about a year. It's been about a year. All right. Brawl for All match. There are some people who just don't belong in a Brawl for All match. Let's hope we don't pick those people tonight. Now, this guy looks like he just came from a Brawl for All match. We have Eddie Kingston, the Mad King. You'll be able to see him this Friday in the main event of House of Glory, challenging Charles Mason for the World Championship. I may have to insist that we get this version of Eddie when he shows up. Look at this guy. Does he not look like he would belong in a Brawl for All match? Come on. Very appropriate. Eddie Kingston and Buddy Matthews. I think Eddie is going down. I'm sorry, Eddie. But I think you're done for. I think we can all agree on the outcome of this match. All right, last one. Here we go. The final main event of the evening. We are so close to perfection. We are so close. I could taste it. I could feel it. A Texas death match. I mean, we've seen so many of these. I feel nothing. We know it's going to be violent. We know it's going to be gory. We know it's going to be bloody. I know we got Hangman floating around in here somewhere, right? He's been in some Texas death matches in his day. We have Cruz Montana, as he is currently known. To me, he will always be Mike Santana. Mike Santana, Cruz Montana. In a Texas death match. Against Jack Perry. Oh boy, Jack Perry is going to suffer a grisly fate here in this Texas death match. I'm going with Cruz Montana. He's my pick to win. See, he's a New Yorker. He's a New Yorker. This guy right here, he's from Hollywood. He don't stand a chance. Yeah, real glass. He'll get some glass, all right. He'll get some glass in his eye. That's what he'll get. Man, I love that chime. I love that chime. I love it when we go back to back like that with the sweeps. That's awesome. All right, final super chats here. We have Holiday 197. Punk versus Owens had the potential to be great, especially if they turn it, or I think you mean has the potential. If they turn it into a heated feud and extend it over a few matches. But Owens won't win the title, even though he deserves it. Well, he should win the title. I endorse a Kevin Owens run as the WWE champion, and so does Deadly Ace, right? Right? Welcome to the channel. Look how excited Cody is. And then we have Linkmaster. Never forget, Shinsuke Nakamura won a Royal Rumble. Indeed he did. And don't forget that Kevin Owens has never been the WWE champion, and he's been on television here for about a decade. but Jinder Mahal has. Always remember that. Let that seep into your brain. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. 2 nights in a row. We had a big night on night 1. We had a bigger night here on night 2. You guys killed it. Well over 1,100 likes. Killed it on the super chats. A lot of great questions. Some weird ones. I'm not going to lie. There were some weird ones in there too. But that was a very busy weekend of wrestling. If you missed the sound off today, episode 974. Yes, there was a sound off sandwiched in between all of this SummerSlam madness. Covered a lot of ground on there. I didn't get to the AEW stuff. I'm going to save that. I have a bunch of AEW thoughts coming out of Dynamite last week. We're going to save that for the Uncrowned Wrestling show on Tuesday. That's the beauty of having Uncrowned on Tuesdays. Not only talk about all the big news stories, but anything I didn't have time for, or anything that may have broken after the sound off. We'll cover that on Tuesday. But go check that out. It includes my Dark Side of the Ring review on the Big Boss Man episode from this past week. Tomorrow, we start a brand new week, and we have the Raw post show, first Raw coming out of SummerSlam. So we're going to end the debut, the return of Big Cass on Raw. Will he have Enzo with him? Are they saving Enzo as a surprise, or are they truly going to bring him in on his own as a single? I hope they do. Tuesday will be, as I mentioned, Uncrowned. That'll be dropping later in the day, and then live on Tuesday night for Tuesday Night Titans. Wednesday is the Dynamite post show, which is also the Grand Slam Mexico post show, which is looking very stacked. I will not be here on Friday for SmackDown. I will be live at the NYC Arena for House of Glory. We are going to be streaming the entire show live and free for the first time on the House of Glory YouTube channel. So if you want to drop in, you'll hear me on commentary for that show. We got a lot of big names coming in. It's going to be big. So it's going to be a very busy week. Let's have a very strong month of August. I can't do it without you guys. Navy 4181. Do you think Gunther's Boston Crab on Finn was an homage to Rick Martel, who is in attendance? I hope it increases the chances of a Hall of Fame induction. I mean, I think Gunther's done that move before, so I'm going to say no. I mean, it would be kind of cool if it was. I don't think so, though. Somebody mentioned in the chat before about Seth's entrance, and I thought I saw something. I didn't comment on it because I wasn't sure. It was so quick. When they did the Shield intro bit before they played Seth's current theme music, I thought I saw a silhouette over by the stage where it looked like Seth might be coming out in the tactical gear, and then they just played his current music, and then he just came out in his clown outfit. So I mean, it looked to me like I thought Seth was maybe in the Shield gear, but maybe I just was seeing things, or maybe there was some decoy that they had dressed up as Seth from the Shield, but you could kind of just barely make it out. I did notice that, but I thought maybe I was just imagining things. You saw it too? Okay, so I wasn't the only one. Yeah, I mean, maybe they had somebody dressed up as Seth, and whoever it was, you just saw the outline of them. It's weird though, because how many people even picked up on that? Like the people in the stadium, did they even see that? Would they even have noticed? Hey, St. Clair, you were there. Did you even notice that? Anyway, the Shield is dead. Now we can finally move beyond it. It only took 14 years. It's time to move on. That's what I'm going to do right now. Have yourselves a good night. I'll see you for the Raw post show tomorrow and all the other content. Thank you guys for the love. I appreciate it. Oh, wait, Link Master. I keep holding my breath for an Ambrose appearance. Well, don't do that because you'll die. You're not getting an Ambrose appearance. When his contract is up, he'll resign. I don't think he has any interest in going back to WWE. You're going to be holding your breath for an awfully long time. Don't do that. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Kevin Dunn.